Hi everyone, I'm sitting here on November the 10th. As you can see, the yard's pretty much dormant. There's still a little green left, but we're starting to get some cool temperatures here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Today's highs in the 40s, tomorrow's highs in the upper 30s. It will warm back up, but for right now it's definitely pretty cold. So just wanted to share with you guys sort of what I do each year. If you're in an area where it's warm, you don't have to really deal with this. And if you're in an area where it's really cold, you definitely have to deal with this. North Carolina, especially Charlotte's a little bit on the borderline, but it is suggested here that everyone have their sprinkler system sort of blown out and winterized. And I used to pay for people to do it, but over the years, a couple years of living here, I sort of decided that was a little crazy, and I started doing it myself. Now, first off, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not an expert in this. I'm not a plumber. I don't make any claims or anything here, but to me the idea is just to get the pressure out of the system and let the water drain out of your sprinklers. The professionals will also hook up an air compressor and blow them out, and they will also take part of your backflow off and then come back and put it back on in the spring. To me, just when it starts to get cold, if I do this every year, it takes a little bit of time for it to drain out on its own, but it also takes some time for the ground to get really cold that far down. A lot of people in this area don't even do this, but I think it's wise. So the general idea is to, here in the winter, you want to start at the road. So we're out here at the road. Here is my water meter, my water. This is basically the Charmeck utilities. When the sprinkler systems are put in, they're usually pretty close. Your valve will be pretty close to this box. So I take a screwdriver if you're having trouble finding it, and usually if you just poke around here, within a couple of feet, you'll eventually hit it. And for me, I know that mine's out in this area, and the Zoysia gets pretty good at running amok and finding its way to cover it up every year. But if I find, you'll hear it right there. I can hear the box. So I'm gonna open that up and give you guys a look at it here. Let me go widescreen here to get you a little better view. Excuse me. Zoysia grows pretty aggressively, so it covers this box up every year, and I have to get in here and sort of pull everything back to get to it. So you can see the process of getting down to it here. Good old Zoysia. It doesn't play around. But you can see, if you look here, you can start to see the top of the green box. And it's just a little valve box. So I tell you what, I'm gonna use both hands and open this up, and then I'll show you there's just a valve in here that we can turn. But I'll be right back. All right, everyone. So I've opened this up, and you can see there's a little valve down in there. I've dug out the dirt around it, and my pipe is running that way. So the valve is right in line with it. And that is my main cutoff for my sprinklers. So my goal right now is to cut the water pressure off, and then we will release the pressure at the backflow and let things drain. So right now I'm gonna turn that to 90 degrees, straight across it here. Let me get it going here. Actually, I'm gonna have to get a little more leverage. 1 second. It really helps if you turn it the right way. So sorry, for mine it was turned right. It was turned right to get it going. There we go. So now it is turned across and it is off. So I will put this valve cover box, the cover to this valve box back on, and that now stops the pressure from here. The pressure is basically sealed from the main water main here. So the system is still pressurized going back to the backflow, but I'll show you how I'll work on that in just a moment. Okay, so excuse the mess over here because I need to update my pine needles. That is the next, this weekend is trimming bushes, as you can tell, and then I'll be putting out new pine needles for the winter. But on the back corner of my home here, there is a backflow that was installed. Here in the city of Charlotte, we're required to have them, and they're required to be inspected every year. And so I'll pop this off and show what it looks like. All right, so basically just stand that box up. It's mainly there to help from freezing. And this is the backflow that was installed on my house in probably 1999. Been here for a long time. So what's going on here is there are valves here on the backflow. They are all closed. As you can see, the screws are turned running across. So what I'm going to work on is opening each one of those up to where they're in line, which will relieve the pressure. Water will come out. I'll let those drain, and then I open this. Mine has 2 of these on it. I open them both up just to get all of the water out of there, and then I screw them back in hand tight, just a little snugger than hand tight. And to me, what that does is that opens up the system. It puts air in the system. There's no pressure anymore. It relieves all that pressure from out front. And then the pipes aren't full of pressurized water. And they tend to, what I notice when I do this is the lowest point of my yard, the sprinkler at the lowest point of my yard will drain water. And you'll see some of that come out of it. But the net of it is that it reduces the water that's in the pipes. I have never blown them out myself because, you know, like I said, we don't get drastically cold here for an extended period of time. But even when we have, I haven't had any freezing. They're far enough in the ground that even if they were to freeze up a little, there's only a minimal amount of water in there. That's my thought on it. That's the way I do it. You know, if you want to have a professional do yours, I totally get it. But if you're a DIY type person, you could hook a, you know, an air compressor up and blow them out yourself. But when I had this professionally done, they would blow those out, and then they would actually disconnect the backflow and give it to me to put in the garage, and then they would wrap up the pipes here. But then you got to pay them again to come out in the spring and put it all back on before I knew what I was really doing. So for me, this is what I do every year. I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like here, and try not to get wet, but I will probably get a little bit wet here. But I start with this. It's hard to do holding the camera, sorry. And get this in there, and then I just go really slow here to open it up and let the pressure start. And you'll see once it's depressurized, it doesn't. If I my apologies, my camera stopped there for a moment. But anyway, it's still going here. What I was saying was, if you open it all the way up front, it's pretty heavy pressure coming out. But if you start it slow and then open, as you can hear, there it went. Now that's draining. This is draining. You know, the way this works is this is all pressurized, and it goes in, and then the individual valves you have for your sprinkler systems out in your yard control, you know, where the water's going and which zones it's going to. But for me, like I said, you can see each one of them is draining. There's water coming out of them, and that handles the majority of the pressure. I'm going to open up those others, and I'll give you a look at that really quickly. Okay, so next part here, and I apologize, I should have brought something to hold the camera, but I wasn't really planning on doing this. So, so now I have broken this free with a crescent wrench here, and we'll show you. You basically just, you'll see here, once you open this up, you'll see quite a bit of water tends to come out here. And this is the reason that I go ahead and open this up also. It's just, I want to get all the water out of this thing, right? Pretty simple setup. That's what it looks like internally. So I just sort of get that done and then push this back up, and I will tighten it all the way back up in a moment. But I like to open both sides here. So I do the same with this one. And that's why I don't have that bottom sealed up yet all the way, because sometimes opening this up, I just, like I said, like to get it completely open and let everything drain. There are O-rings here. You can pick those up at your local store, local hardware store, big box store, something like that. You know, put a little bit of lubricant on them or something in the spring. But that's generally my process. So now I will just hand tighten these back up. As you can see, those are still draining over there, right? So the pressure is still coming out of these, water is still coming out. I sort of hand tighten these back up. Don't want bugs or anything getting in there. There, that one's hand tight. That one's hand tight. And that's it for me. I will now cover this back up, and in the spring, I will reverse the whole process. In the spring, I start off here. I usually tighten this back down, snug, close those off, close this back up, and then actually I'll leave that open. Go turn the water on at the road, come back here and make sure nothing's leaking or anything. And then I run through my sprinkler system one zone at a time. It'll spit a bunch of air and things like that, and then it's up and running, and I'm good for the season. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm just a homeowner who likes to do things myself, and I've been doing this since probably 1999, 2000. It's now 2025. I haven't had any issues whatsoever. I'm not saying that you will or won't, just sharing in case you want to try this yourself. If you live in an area that gets really, really cold, I would definitely suggest having someone, you know, take it off of there. But for me, this works great, and I hope this helped you out. Enjoy your day. Thanks for watching.